Allegedly, where we slow the story down. This is about insight versus impact, learning from what we observe. Instead of paying the price ourselves, their experiences become our education. So growth doesn't have to come with damage.
Allegedly, okay? Before we begin, I want to say this clearly, all right? Before I say that, let me say this. Remember, first of all, I'm Coach Raquel. Welcome to another Allegedly segment, okay? Episode of this podcast. It is my pleasure to be here with you. I'm Coach Raquel, and we're going to get into it, okay? Let's get into it. As per usual, I like to say this. From God, the purpose of us being here is not just to talk about other people's story. Pain is purpose, and so I'm very mindful of what I say, or how involved I get in other person's stories, right? When we come here, this is where truth, opinion, and headlines meet hard questions. So welcome to Allegedly. We explore other people's experiences and their stories with the hope that we will find inspiration to do our own self-work, to become better people, better stewards, better neighbors, and have breakthroughs in our lives so we can live a fulfilling and meaningful life. That's why we're here, right? So it's not just to gossip. We're not gossiping. We're exploring the stories. So it's from gossip to growth. But I do understand that some of the stories may sound like gossip, but even when it does, we're using the gossip for growth. We're using the stories for inspiration, motivation, disruption, so we can do some self-work to grow and advance. Because when we grow and we advance, the world grows and the world advances, right? Change begins with us. Now, before we begin, I want to say this clearly. This segment is not a dismissal of illness, friendship, or compassion. It is not a defense of Jeffrey Epstein or anyone else discussed here, or any alleged criminal conduct. This is a conversation about projected obligation, privacy, precedent, and emotional overreach. We can care deeply about harm and still ask structural questions. Those things are not mutually exclusive. So that's what we're doing. But before I go ahead, let me share the fair use, because I'm going to be using clips that were not originally mine. So, copyright disclaimer: under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowances made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statutes that might otherwise be infringing. All right, now we're going to get into the conversation, the heart of the matter. All right. There are a couple of things that I want to go through in this episode. So I want to make sure that I'm moving through, not necessarily quickly, but in a timely way. Now,
Women and Men of Excellence Outreach Ministries is a global church without walls. We're serving communities through live services, prayer intervention, and outreach that changes lives. Support our $500 monthly giving drive at wamoe.org/give. Shop with purpose at faithmerchandise.com, featuring Dr. Faith's Miracle Lemonade. Book Dr. Faith for therapy, speaking, or ministry at drfaithreborn.com. Grow through professional connection and vocational training at theexcelproject.com. Subscribe to our monthly newsletter and follow us on socials at WAMO Ministries. Become a great motivator. Help us empower minds for success in the kingdom of God.
Right. This clip I'm about to play right now is where you're going to be hearing about Tyra and Miss J, who worked together for years, I think since she was 16 or something like that. And then the fact that he was reportedly ill, was or is reportedly ill. I think he's on the recovery, on the mending. And then the online commentary suggesting that she has shown poor behavior for not showing up, according to what they're going to be saying. So again, like I said, I'm not reacting to his illness. I'm reacting to the entitlement, or how I see it, the entitlement I perceive that's being projected onto her. So let's now go to the clip.
The thing that's really unfortunate around Tyra sending Miss J one text is it came way after Jay was out of the hospital. He was in a coma for 5 months, roughly, and then in the hospital for almost a year and a half. She's been in New York a ton. She's on all these shows, Victoria's Secret fashion show, making time to go by for a few hours to sit with the man in the hospital. I can probably say what everybody is thinking. It's just really poor behavior. And I know where it comes from, if I'm gonna be really honest with you. There's a level of fear that she doesn't want to face some things. And I'm just gonna be honest, she's ducking out. Jay is getting stronger every day. He can get out of that chair. That's what people don't know. At the time of the documentary, he couldn't. He can. He can take steps. And look, if anyone is gonna walk again, it's Miss J. Miss J one text is it.
To me, this feels so heavy, so heavy, so heavy. All right, so I'm going to start this by saying it this way. And like I said, I'm not addressing the sickness. I'm just, I don't know, this sounds so overwhelming for me. Like, I think sometimes we become so entitled that we lose complete focus or awareness that people are living their own lives. And I'm guilty of it too, you know? I remember I had a very close friend who, I think she was having her fibroids removed, and she was in the hospital. But based on what I was going through at the time, my financial challenges, my mental challenges, I was just at a place, of rebuilding because I had crashed out. And I remember I wasn't able to go to see her in the hospital at all. And I remember feeling so guilty because I felt like I had to choose between her, visiting her, and myself. And I feel like I've carried a guilt for that. And I've had to sit with myself and say, no, we're not going to carry a guilt for that. We're going to let that go. I remember there was a very, very close friend of mine from university. And she was getting married and she invited me to the wedding. And I was not able to go again. I was having a lot of struggles, because I was by myself. I had no support system, unlike they have support system, I don't have any. And I just didn't want to show up because one of the things for me was a lot of my life, I showed up just looking the worst, being the worst, braving, the worst. I didn't really have good clothes or someone back here. I was always in this struggle mode. And that time it was a wedding, and based on she's from the upper society, so to speak, and I just didn't want to be the one out of form. I was always used to the rebel piglets, I am at this place and I show up and I look out of shape. Like I'm the one who just looks like rags. And this time I just didn't want to have that because I was going through my own stuff. And I remember there was this young lady who was my neighbor once, very friendly with each other, but I think her mother passed, and she invited me to the funeral, and I just could not make it because I was going through depression, terrible depression. I was going through a lot and I just couldn't make it. And I remember she visited me and she was like, I can't believe you didn't come. I don't care if you didn't. And like, The only person who never expressed disappointment to me was my friend who did the fibroid surgery, the surgery to remove the fibroid, the one for the wedding man. And I love Kelly, and I love you so much, and I'm so sorry I missed the wedding. And I'm sorry I didn't call you to let you know what the challenges I was feeling. But let me tell you what I love about you, man. Lovely, lovely Kelly. Let me tell you what I love about you. This girl looks me directly. I remember, I think she invited me, it was to TGI Fridays, TGIF, and she's like, I didn't need anybody there like I wanted you there. And I'm like, I didn't even know I was that important to you. And she was like, what do you mean? She was like, I was so miserable today because I needed you there, you know? And I understand, and I love that she was so frank, so direct with me, you know, and she never accepted none of my reasons. And I love her for it. Love her for it, because she was honest, she was true, and she told me exactly, there was no animosity. She was just telling me exactly how she felt, and I love her so much. She's one of my angels, and I love her so much, right? And I remember the other one, the young lady whose mom passed, she was so sad. And I'm really, really sorry that I disappointed you, my darling Kim. I'm so sorry that I disappointed you. I didn't even feel like I was choosing. I was so depressed at the time. I was in such deep depression that I wasn't even making a choice, you know? And the poverty that surrounded me, it was just so much for me. I felt like, because before I would push through, crawl through to be there for persons, because I love to support people. But in those moments, I didn't have a choice. I felt like my circumstances chose for me. With my friend who was doing the fibroid surgery, I decided I can't. I'm not going to be able to, and I'm just not going to be able to. And from that thing with the person with the fibroid, I had that thing, not because the person made me feel any way, but for me personally, the way I took it, I didn't like how I took it. I held myself accountable when I knew I did the best I could. And I remember after that, I sat with myself and I said, listen, we're going to do away with shame. We're going to do away with feeling sad because you're walking in truth. No, you're going to choose you unapologetically. You're going to choose you even if it doesn't seem like it's a big deal. You know, he spoke about fear, like like as though Tyra has fear. Okay, so if you know why she's not coming, what's the problem? You know, he said something for me that I think was very problematic when he said poor behavior. And the reason I think it's important to have these discussions is young people are listening and sending the message that you have certain obligations, where you choose others over yourself, where you have to show up because, first of all, where is the contract? Where is the contractual agreement that Tyra has with this young man? I'm not talking about his sickness. I'm talking about projected obligations. Yes, they work together, but work is a contract. He was compensated. Yes, they had proximity. Yes, they had a history. He's been working with her since she started her career as a model, since she was a teenager, I think 16 or 17, and he's worked with her. He was compensated, and his affiliation with her bore fruits that he benefited from and he enjoyed. But professional relationships are not, does not lead to personal obligation. Please, let's remember, employees get paid, affiliates benefit mutually, and access is part of the job. Professional proximity is not a lifetime emotional contract. Let's remove the professional, since we want to say, okay, maybe they were friends. First of all, if our relationship was a business relationship, And through that business relationship, we were social, we were friendly, we were all of that. It is still a business relationship. And even in the case of a social relationship, that is still not a contract. It's a choice. You can value someone, you can appreciate someone, but appreciation is not obligation. And I just don't like the way it's being put on her. It's one thing to say, man, I really hope she had gone. Not hope, but I wish she had gone there. And I hope she contacted him. It would have been really nice. But that's not what he's saying. He is holding her feet to the fire. It comes very close to bullying to me. And you're gonna talk about, oh, she's going around here, that's her business. That's her business. She chooses her priorities. You don't know why she chose that. And again, if you mention there might be fear, then you should understand. Let me play it. I think that's what she...
By for a few hours to sit with the man.
Hold on. To go by for a few hours to sit with the man. Illness does not create ownership. Let's slow down here. Illness deserves compassion. That she even text was a big step. At least she texted. She didn't have to text either. Maybe she's busy. Maybe she's depressed. Maybe she just don't feel like it. And maybe she's struggling based on what you said. Illness deserves dignity. Illness deserves privacy. Who determines who must show up? Who determines that? What obligates her legally or morally? Are we weaponizing someone's sickness here? Are we? Compassion cannot be coerced. It comes across to me like emotional bullying, like they're lashing her, whipping her. Care that is demanded is not care, it is control. It's control. And you know what I also want to say? What is happening between the young man, the man and Tyra is their business. How did you become the spokesperson for that? That's their relationship. Why are you inserting yourself? That's their relationship. I understand you're looking on and you're thinking, but we worked together, all of these things. And people like to say, oh, but I did this. You were compensated. You were compensated. That was the trade. You got to be affiliated with her for the time that you were. There were benefits. There's this public discipline culture that has been birthed from this entitlement that we think we have against people. This entitlement that we seem to be demanding from people, demanding things from people. This entitlement that we have towards people. Sorry. What does poor behavior mean? I think the spaces where poor behavior should be used is between parent and children, in the school, on the school grounds. I don't even think poor behavior belongs in the workplace. These are adults, independent people. I don't think poor behavior belongs in the boardroom, in the workplace. Poor behavior. What does that mean? Poor according to who? You? Who are you? In the context of this, who are you? It's their relationship. Based on what poor behavior, based on what contract? She is not a spouse, as far as we know. She's not his mother, as far as we know. She is not his caretaker, as far as we know. She is not financially responsible for him as far as we know. Courtesy is kindness. Obligation is contract. Those are not the same thing. Those are not the same. Courtesy is kindness. Obligation is contract. Those are not the same. When did access in one season become permanent claim in another? We demand emotional labor from public figures, from people in general. We project our values onto their private lives. We perform moral outrage as if we are judges. We wrap moral stones around people's necks and call it righteousness. Compassion is beautiful. Public lashing is not. If someone works with you in one season, does that give you lifelong access to their time, emotions, affections, finances? Or are we advocating care? Are we advocating care, or are we enforcing control? We've got to really think about what we're doing. I have another clip I want to play, because I was watching the documentary and this one young lady was sitting there talking, and she was expressing how she had a gap in her teeth and she didn't want to remove the gap, and she told them. And Tyra said to her, well, I have this for you, but I can't give it to you if you don't close the gap. If the gap remains, you have to go home. She even spoke with her mom, she says, reportedly on the program. And then she chose to go and close the gap. Now she's coming back to talk about how you toyed with my life consciously. Girl, you toyed with your life. You had a choice to make and you chose. Now I have this clip I want to show you. This is how you choose when you don't want to do something. Listen to this, because this is another contestant that chose as well.
Don't know. At the time of the documentary, he couldn't. He can. He all the way back.
Sir,
Let me tell
I think you should just go show up. You show up. You sound passionate about this person, that's somebody you care about. You show up. You show up. That should be sufficient. You show up. You show up, my darling. You show up.
Again, it's
manage
Miss
your own
J.
showing
Jay's
up.
coming
Let
back.
Tyra
all the way
manage
back.
hers.
Let me
You
tell
manage your own show up.
I don't know. I just don't think this is like right for me. I don't want to do it. I want to go home.
Don't you think any job interview?
Boom. Boom. Listen, let me see if I can play this
right
twice.
for me. I don't want to do it.
You just listen
All
to
the way
this.
back. Let
No,
me tell you.
this is it.
I don't know. I just don't think this is like right for me. I don't want to do it. I want to go home.
Don't you think any
Simple.
job interview?
Simple.
But I've had people throw millions of dollars in my face to do something I didn't want to do. And what? Just
Evidence there.
Oh, they're in the room.
Yeah, I don't want
See? This clip comes across to me very distasteful. I don't know if they were acting or this was real. Why wouldn't you want persons to know the power of saying no and walk away? See, they don't want to have that conversation. And they don't have to have that conversation because nobody has to want to empower you. They want you to come so you can serve, so they can get you working for them. Fine. The world can advocate for what's important to the world. But you need to know that when the world makes its decision, that's the world's decision. You are still obligated to participate and make your own decision. Hear what she said? She's had millions thrown at her to do things she doesn't want to do. And my understanding from what she kept saying, where she was going, is to say, I didn't do it. I turned it down, but he stopped her.
It's open dialogue.
Yeah, you want me to keep talking about that?
Now, why don't we want young people to know that, hey, you can say no to millions. You can say no to top model position. You can say no. And when you don't say no, the consequences are on you because you're making a choice. You're making a
we can
choice.
talk about anything, but
But don't do it.
yeah, I just
Catch
I-
that.
No, of course.
Wow. Remember, the world is thinking for the world. The world is not thinking for you. The world is not advocating for you. The world is the world. You have to represent yourself. You have to make sure your own interest is represented. You have to make sure that you do your own due diligence. You have to advocate for yourself. Nobody is obligated to advocate for you. That's your job. Tyra, even on the top model thing, it's not Tyra's place to hold your hand. It's not her place to hold your hand. Let me go back to what I said. Kindness. Courtesy is kindness, not obligation. Courtesy is kindness, not obligation. Courtesy is kindness. Obligation is contract. They're not the same. Those two are not the same. So be careful how you're showing up with expectations from other people who have no obligations to you, no contract to be obligated to you. I'm obligated in a generic way to the man who I agreed to marry. In a lifespan way, in an overall way, I completely and thoroughly, without question, I'm obligated to that person because there's a contract, there's an agreement. And also to someone I give birth to. But outside of that, all my agreements are based on the agreements that we make in that regard. And to expect more from someone, more than they are able to give. You see, sometimes I sit back and I realize, like, even in our daily lives and even in my business persons, I will say, here's a system to address that, but you're calling me to address it. Now, what are you trying to do? You're choosing you. You can't be bothered to go over there. So what? You're going to force me to become subjected to you, to serve you, without any care about how this impacts me. About the fact that when you called me rather than go to the system, you are now imposing on my time. How do you know I'm not busy? Do you understand the sacrifices I make when I stop to give you time? Because that's a flip side too, you know, where you do have some persons who sometimes you go the extra mile for, and they don't even realize the value of that extra mile, to the point where because you give them extra mile 1 month, they want it for the next 11 months of the year. I can change any time. I can use my time how I want to. I can sit and have absolutely nothing doing, but I still cannot take your call because I'm busy doing nothing with myself. And that's not something for me to be hated for. It's something you should respect, because you should do that yourself. We're out here making demands of people. Can people make those demands of you? And you be okay with it? No. You would not be okay with it. So we really need to stop. You know, now we're going to go on to the shock, privacy, and precedent of it all. We're now going to go on to the whole Epstein and our children. Because to me, honestly, this whole Epstein thing, saga, I think I hear Epstein's name too much. We make him too important. What I want to hear is the children, who I want to remember are the real victims. And listen, who is a victim? Who truly is a victim? We go back to choices. Anyway. I feel like I've heard Epstein's name one too many times, and I still don't know the victims. Where the kids that were involved here, the unknown, unnamed. Is this really about Epstein? Or is there something more sinister going on? Let's hear the clips.
You got over 70,000 men in the group chat talking about what they did to their wives, children, community members, and it's some of the most vile things you can ever think about.
What does that have to do with Epstein? Let's keep going.
I cannot wrap my mind around the fact 70,000 men
70,000
are active
reportedly.
daily users
I wasn't
of
there.
a community that targets women and children in
My God.
assaults.
I'm done. I'm done with us protecting people who would buy and abuse our children. I'm done. I don't want to send more black and brown men to prison. I don't want more people in prison, but I don't want people buying girls. I don't want people buying little girls anymore. And I'm tired of saying it's okay and that we have to protect the men who do it.
Mr. Chopra, sir, how are you? Sir, I've got to ask you, listen, sir, you built your entire career. You built your entire career on spirituality. What do you have to say about your actions with Epstein? Any regrets? You have any regrets? I said, do you have any regrets about your relationship with Epstein? What's that? You want me to decide? No, I'm asking you, sir.
First, yeah. Then I think finally here also. And suck my tongue.
I'm not a mother. There are many reasons I'm not a mother. I've said this multiple times. I'd have to be called to something greater and higher to be a mother. God bless mothers. Because I'm not strong enough to do it. But let's keep going. Because you see, we keep getting stuck on Epstein. Let's keep going.
Thank you. Thank you.
Who had the most contact with Jeffrey Epstein during his final decade? At The Economist, we have analyzed 1.4 million of Jeffrey Epstein's emails. We found the 500 figures who appear most often and analyzed their relationships with the sex offender, building a picture of the people in consistent contact with Epstein after he pled guilty to soliciting sex from a minor. This is a list of some of the most well-known figures that appear in Epstein's emails. David Stern, an aide to Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, Larry Summers, the former U.S. Treasury Secretary, and Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's associate who's been convicted of sex trafficking minors, were all in consistent contact with Epstein. Our data shows that some people were emailing with Epstein hundreds of times a month, like the physicist Lawrence Krauss and the banker Ariane de Rothschild. To understand just how much Epstein's network reached into almost every area of society, we've also divided the top 500 people by their industry. If you exclude Epstein's emails with his staff and business partners, 19% of messages with his top correspondents were with financiers, like Jess Staley, the former CEO of Barclays. 17% were in academia, like the immunologist Boris Nikolic. There were politicians like Peter Mandelson, Britain's former ambassador to the US, and Ehud Barak, Israel's former prime minister. And people from media and entertainment, including the publicist Peggy Siegel, the journalist Michael Wolff, and the filmmaker Woody Allen. The list also contains at least 18 current or former billionaires, including Peter Thiel and Elon Musk. All of them were in touch with Epstein after his plea admitting to sex offenses in 2008. Most of Epstein's correspondents say they didn't know about the scale of his crimes. In such a vast data dump, the quantity of emails alone doesn't give you the full picture of the nature of their relationships. So we mapped the number of emails sent and received. Ariane de Rothschild sent many more emails to Epstein than she received. Lawrence Krauss and Epstein sent similar numbers of emails to each other. Some people received far more emails than they sent, like Bill Gates, who was bombarded by messages between 2014 and 2016 and replied to relatively few. He was, however, happy to meet Epstein in person on a number of occasions. This analysis gives you an insight into Epstein's relationships and network after his plea deal, but many emails also detail the ongoing abuse of women and girls. We also used a large language model to score every message on how disturbing it is. And buried among 1 million mundane missives are over 1,000 that are LLM flagged as highly worrisome. Watch our next video for more analysis of Epstein's network.
These are the countries with the most missing children. Pay close attention and check where your country appears on the list, because often we just see headlines like this and move on without really noticing, but the numbers are shocking. Italy has 21,951 missing children each year. South Korea reports 25,690 missing children annually. Brazil has around 40,000 missing children each year. France records about 40,989 missing children annually. Russia reports approximately 45,000 missing children every year. Canada follows closely with 45,288 missing children annually. India has about 96,000 missing children each year. Germany sees roughly 100,000 missing children annually. The United States tops the list with about 460,000 missing children annually, which means nearly 2,300 children go missing every single day. So what are the causes of these missing children? Are they being used for something else? Or are they being kidnapped and kept somewhere? Or what exactly is causing this?
Okay, let me say this up front. This is not a defense of Jeffrey Epstein. Allegations of abuse, trafficking, exploitation, those are serious, devastating claims. All right? Okay. Whew. 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 I feel like we literally sat and watched this person they call the Dalai Lama, whatever you want to call him. And I'm not trying to disrespect anybody's religion or anything. But I sat and watched a child being sexually assaulted. Suck my tongue. Good God. And the crowd cheers. But we're here talking about Jeffrey Epstein's emails. That's what we're going to be talking about. What I'm questioning is something else. What precedent are we setting in the name of outrage? I'm sharing on the screen some data I pulled based on that last video I just showed you about the missing children. Again, I say this. I keep hearing Jeffrey Epstein, email this, email that. Why is that the focus? What is happening here? What is happening here, really? What exactly is happening here? And all of us, before we start talking about outrage, hey little girl, each time you pass my way, I am tempted to touch. You remember that song? I know this little girl, her name is Maxine. Her face is like a bunch of roses. You know that one? Before we start projecting, what did I say this segment was about? Self-work. Become the change, because we've got make a strong God so we can walk in your truth and stop walking around this place with political correctness, thinking for in some way it makes us morally, it puts us on some moral high ground, and we're so righteous. We're none of us, we're all responsible, all of us. People we keep talking about how the world is, but you keep giving birth. Why are we bringing children into this world? Why? Why? Until we can create a world where they will be safe. Why? What's the justification? If you had a company that was failing, that was running out of financial resources, would you continue to hire people? No, you would not. You would not. You would have to reset, refocus, recalibrate, readjust. Before you do, but sex, I guess sex is good. I wouldn't even know. I haven't had enough to know. Still waiting on my orgasm. I'm just saying. We're all complicit. We're all complicit. I am a coward. The only innocent here are the kids, the ones who did not make a choice or was not within the power to make a choice. We have to get to a place where we are willing to take the risk to die rather than choose to stay a slave, to stay in abuse. The innocent kids. We don't even know if for real, well, for those who have checked the emails, they've seen things. I don't know if these emails are real or not. I don't think the emails are the important thing, but that's what we're talking about, so let's talk. So the shock creates consent. Shock creates consent. Let's think about that for a second. When a case is shocking enough, the public stops asking structural questions. You see, we're so focused on the email list and its kids being eaten and the outrageousness of it all. And I'm not saying it's a lie. The headlines are egregious. The details are disturbing. The emotional temperature is everlastingly high. It's high. But when something is this inflammatory, what slips through quietly. But when something is this inflammatory, what slips through quietly? What legal processes are expanded? What privacy lines are crossed? Because shock lowers scrutiny. Just bear with me here. All I'm asking you to do is think outside the box. Just ask yourself some questions. If we're really caring about kids, why are we talking about email lists? Why aren't we talking about the amount of arrests that were made and the amount of kids that were rescued and the amount of systems that's being put in place to protect? Why isn't that the conversation? We're talking about millions of emails. So here's the email questions that I have. How are millions of emails accessed? How? Under what warrant? Under what warrant? What legal standard? Under what legal standard? What protections exist? Where is the boundary between criminal investigation and digital overreach? I'm not arguing that evidence shouldn't be collected. I'm asking what protects the rest of us. If the state can access everything for someone we all despise, what safeguards ensure they can't overreach for someone less hated? Precedent and power. Bad actors often become justification for expanded authority. Here are some examples. The Patriot Act expansion after 9/11. Surveillance increases after crisis events. Data retention laws expanding quietly. Are we paying attention to the legal architecture or only the spectacle? I'm just asking. Precedent doesn't disappear when the villain does. See, I'm still asking. If this is about protecting kids, if this is about the crime, why are we talking about, why is the email list the top priority? Why is that the conversation? Why isn't the new laws in place for kids the major conversation? Why isn't the focus groups that they're now hosting? Why aren't the arrests of these perpetrators what we're discussing? Why aren't the victims being discovered and recovered and protected the focus of the conversation? Because you see, this is not by accident. None of this is accidental. It's all calculated, in my opinion. All strategic and calculated. Carefully crafted, in my opinion. The slippery emotional trap. This may be a nuance, but an important one. When someone is universally condemned, we suspend concern for their rights. Don't we? But rights aren't for the righteous. And that's where I think a lot of us get in problems in this world. Because whatever you give to somebody else, no matter who they are or what they've done, the Bible did not say to love your good neighbors as you love yourself. The Bible said love your neighbors as you love yourself. You see, I interpret that verse as a protection verse. It's not about love to me. I hear God saying security, protection, justice, the well-being of your family. For these reasons, you've got to love your neighbor like you love yourself. You have to see them through love's eyes. Even to be strategic with them, you have to see them through love's eyes. To protect your family, you have to see them through love's eyes. You see, some people romanticize the Bible. I don't. I pay attention to it. I listen. I pay attention. Yeah. When someone is universally condemned, we suspend concern for their rights. But rights aren't for the righteous. They exist to limit power. They exist to limit power. Because who's really the puppet master? Epstein? What if the same persons throwing Epstein to the wolves are the same people who created an Epstein, and they're the same people with the power in the system? Now, what if the same people who manufactured Epstein, ran Epstein, is the same person who threw him to the wolves and are the same people in the power? Don't we want to ensure that we at the very least limit their power or are in awareness of how they're moving? I mean, I don't know anything. I'm just looking at it all and I'm just like, It's not by accident that this email list is what everybody's talking about. Another distraction. And it is so reflective of what happened with Sean Combs. It's just these distraction after distraction. It's like this, it's almost like this rage baiting on this global scale. It's how it feels to me. I could be wrong. Civil liberties are tested on the people we dislike most. That's my opinion. It is my opinion that civil liberties are tested on the people we dislike most. It is almost a guaranteed win. This is not sympathy. This is systems thinking. We've got to pay attention to what's happening. While we're busy over here in rage, what are they busy over here cooking up that we later will have to live with? Our kids will have to live with. If due process, privacy, and legal limits can erode in cases that shock us, how do we make sure those limits still protect innocent people? Are we so focused on the horror that we're missing the architecture being built behind it? I'm just asking. I'm just asking. Because I'm not hearing, oh my God, kids, let's look for kids. The kids are not what this whole thing is. We're not hearing about kids. Oh, the list and the list and the list. And we saw them eat kids and we saw them do that. Where? I'm not saying I don't want to hear that or that's not important. I'm just saying, to me, there was a time that when I heard of a crime, it was someone got arrested, the police did this, they've been arrested, a court date is set, the media comes on. That's not what I'm hearing here. It's this horror house that's happening. Meanwhile, nobody can truly say, okay, this is a victim, that is a victim, this is what's being put in place to handle it. It's this game. It feels like there's this toying with you thing that's happening. This puppeteering that's happening. Are kids really involved here? Because where is the protest to present the bodies, to present the names, to where's the advocacy for actual victims? Where are the names of the victims? I don't know. Maybe something is wrong with me. But if something happened to my child, my focus is going to be, where is my child? What happened to my child? And where are the perpetrators that's going to be held accountable for what happened? This is like the biggest, it's like the biggest secret that's being told to the world, but it remains a secret. it's like the biggest story come to bump, but there's still no story. It's like this magic trick, and if you stay so caught up in it, you won't even realize that all you're doing is regurgitating the same talking points. How did they access 3 million emails? How did they access somebody's 3 million emails? How do you do that? How do you access someone's 3 million? Who counted it? Who was counting? You know, one of the things I've sat and asked myself, how long have ChatGPT existed? I mean, we only just got it. We're just hearing about AI now, but how long have those things been in existence? And who's had it and been using it all along? And then decided, oh, let's share it with them now. And what else do they have going on that we don't know yet? We don't know yet. See? I have one more thing to show you, and then I'm going to close this segment. I don't think when God said to be fruitful and multiplied, he meant without wisdom, without moderation, without conscience, without understanding, without, being guarded, without structure and system and security for your kids. I really truly think it's a time for fertility to pause, for the world to look at itself and reset, recalibrate, and to something needs to happen, because as it is right now, it's a swamp. Fertility should not be something, or procreation should not just be something everyone just gets up and do. It should be thoughtfully created, or thoughtfully considered based on where you are and what's happening, to make sure that the world you're bringing that child into will be wholesome. But the kind of the world stage that I'm looking at is just troublesome to me. The policies, the systems that they will have to live under and operate within. That man told that kid to suck his tongue. A kid, not his wife, a kid. And the audience cheered. And we're shocked about Epstein? And then we're talking about, the Dalai Lama, and we're talking about, what's the other spiritual person? I played the video, I don't even remember his name. They're not obligated to you, and they know it. Let me tell you something. People will tell you what they feel like telling you, but they know what the truth is. You can't hold up Deepak Chopra's hand to God. Your responsibility with your soul is your responsibility, not his. We're the ones who give people titles. Prince. And now all of a sudden, because he's involved in this thing, he's ex-prince. No, he was a prince when he did it. A prince did it. The world needs to know that he wore that tag when he did it. So there's nothing special about no prince. What is a prince? What is a prince? What is a prince? Because I don't care about your title. I care about your humanity. Prince. What is that? What is that? A word. It's an English word. That's it. It's a word. Means nothing. Clearly means nothing. No, you want to ex-prince him. No. He's not just prince when you approve his behavior, or when it works in your favor, because you approve all his behaviors. But now, you see, you don't like how it's now impacting you. So you want, no, it's ex-prince. That's not how prince. No, he's a prince. He's every bit a prince, and he's operating like a prince does. So don't come remove but ex-prince. No. He is the Prince Andrew. Prince Andrew, with all he's been accused of. Prince Andrew. He's a prince, and he's still a prince. Young people, look at what prince look like and what princes do. And so the next time someone tried to make you feel like you're not good enough, just remember what princes do. And I'm not saying all princes do this, but I don't know that they don't. I do not know that they don't. Okay? And I don't hear anybody coming out here and say, well, he was a prince. That's what some princes do. You see, they like to clean it up and leave you feeling badly about yourself. You're not skinny enough. You're not beautiful enough. You're not this enough. You're not that enough. Next thing you know, you have people running trains on you while this wealthy man watches, and that's the life you choose, while all the while saying you're the most beautiful. You are the high value woman. I'm the high value woman. I am high value. Because the reason I'm high value is because if any woman has high value, then we all have high value. All of us. Because there's not one of us that's innocent. We are all flawed human beings. But these titles, haven't we seen by now that the titles don't bring anything extra to them? The only thing their titles give them is access to what we have. That's it. Access to our resources, our mindset, our strength, our energies. all their titles do is hinder us. All their titles do is make us seem less. When the truth of the matter is, we are all the same, at the same level. We're all mere human beings. And thank God for those who truly try to serve God for real, who try to love their neighbors as they love themselves, who try to really truly show up, because listen, we're all human beings. Don't let anybody's title fool you. You know, there's this clip with a lady with some babies on her back, and I just have to, I'm gonna leave it here because I just cannot. I found the picture, this video, just as painful as I find the contents of whatever they say is in these Epstein emails, because abuse to me is just abuse, and this looks like abuse to me.
Are they being used for something else? Or are they being kidnapped and kept somewhere? Or what exactly is causing this?
Is this abuse? Let's go.
Hang on, sweetheart. Here we go. Let's sit for you. There it is. Easy now. We're almost done. I'm almost right here.
Look at the two at the bottom. I'm not even mad at her. I'm not criticizing her. I'm just saying, my God, our kids, our kids, our kids, our kids, our kids, our kids, our kids. Kids. One, two, three, four, five. The two at the bottom. I can't even. I'm trying to figure out if the two at the bottom is like a Siamese twin. Is that what they call them when they're together? If it's just one body and two heads. And I'm wondering, is this video real? I'd be so happy to hear this was an AI video. I pray to God it's not real, because the stress on these kids. We've got to do better by our kids. Kids. Anyway, I want to say that. Where is it? I want it to be clear that I'm not trying to frighten anyone. I'm not trying to. I just want to say this as I close this segment. This allegedly. Segment episode explores public expectation, or it explored public expectation, projected obligation, and questions about privacy precedent, right? It is not a dismissal of illness or a defense of any alleged criminal conduct. The goal is thoughtful cultural analysis, not personal attack. All right? Because culture is not accidental. Systems are not accidental. The way of life is structured, it's not accidental. And I think we should be asking questions. And I commend everyone who I mention in this program. I want to thank you for your experience, your mistakes, your errors, your whatever. That I know because of it, I'm becoming more and more mindful about my own activities, my own thoughts, my own actions, who I become, who I am being, how I'm showing up. So for that, I thank you. Yeah, because I don't just want to talk about what happened and then never stop to learn anything, because change begins with me. Change begins with me. And I want to cultivate a kind of environment around myself that when people encounter me, when they leave, they feel as though there should be some sense of God is a good God. God is real. God is still here. God is with us. We're not alone. Right? That's my hope, that their experience with me would have them feeling that way when they leave, or at least having those thoughts when they leave. It shouldn't be, oh my God, I'm so broken because I interacted with Raquel. I'm so stressed out. I just feel so sick. I just feel oh my God, I got shock and awe. I don't want that. So all of these stories I go through to inspire my own self-work, because I need that mindfulness. The things that I may not be thinking about, that may not cross my way. These things help me to think about that, so I can do my self-work to become a better person. or to become my best self. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting. Please like, share, comment, and leave a comment. If you didn't like something, let me know. If you liked something, let me know. However you felt about it, please share, let me know. Thank you so much, and I wish you nothing but the best. So thank you so much. Thank you. This has been Allegedly. I love to open new packages. I will give you the latest information on top funding opportunities for entrepreneurs who are seeking funding. Come along with me and hope for health, and it is this a passion project for me, so I'm so happy to bring this to you. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for watching.